Ford, fixed or repaired daily, found on road dead. And with 137 outstanding recalls in 2025, they lead the list of the biggest, most problematic manufacturer today. Turbocharging has been a nemesis, electrification has been a problem, and unfortunately, troubles are right around the corner with every new model. There's only 4 Fords that I could possibly recommend buying today. Let's get into it now. Life's too short to drive boring cars. The first Ford I would strongly suggest is the base trim F-150. And the reason I say that is because turbocharging has been a big problem. You know, a lot of the EcoBoost engines, the Turbo 3s and the 1.5s, the Turbo 4s have all had all kinds of reliability and durability challenges, but not in this engine, because in this base trim, the Ford F-150 in the XL, you can actually get a very basic engine in this, believe it or not, and it's actually one of their most reliable engines. A 3.3 liter V6 engine, variable camshaft timing in there. It is made up to a 10-speed automatic transmission, which has had its share of problems, but because there's less going on, you don't have all of the cam phaser problems, turbocharging, wastegate issues, direct injection problems, and all of the host of other technologies that Ford seems to be struggling with because of the mass numbers of recalls. This is one of the simplest trucks, and if you just need a great little basic truck to get around, this beats even buying a Maverick. For almost the same kind of money, you can get into a brand new Ford F-150 like this, 4-wheel drive. Sure, you don't get rear sliders, you don't get a lot of technology, you get basic plastic handles and a basic set of steel wheels. But let's be honest, for another $1,500, go aftermarket, put some nicer rubber on the front. You do get the basic grille by Ford, and the rest of it is just a great truck that does the basic duties. But it comes with that 290 horsepower 3.3 liter V6 that's actually relatively reliable. No turbos, no EcoBoost. It's simple. There's less going on. When we talk about some of the problem areas that Ford's had, a lot of it's technology, a lot of it's some of their EcoBoost engines. That has none of it. So at the end of the day, the brand new XL F-150 with, of course, that 3.3 liter is definitely one you'd probably have to buy if you're looking for a basic truck. This car right here, and I've always loved the Mustang, and it's like any of the big three. Of course, the Mustang, the Camaro, as well as the Challengers, Chargers, you got to go SRT. If you want the Camaro, you've got to get the big V8 engines as well, and of course the Mustangs, you've got to stick with the V8 engines, not just because it's got the most oomph, because you can even get the EcoBoost engine, which has great performance. But who wants a Mustang with a 4-cylinder engine? Rather, this is the car that I would definitely buy, a Ford Mustang or a Dark Horse or any of those Mustang GT style cars with the 5-liter V8 engine. Even more specifically, I would skip the automatic transmission. We know the autos in a lot of the Fords aren't necessarily the most robust, but the GTs give you that exhaust note. It sounds wonderful coming out of the tailpipes. It's absolutely glorious. It's also one of the most reliable engines. Yes, they've had some problems with clutch issues, master cylinder problems, and of course some of the gearboxes and the manuals have had some issues working through that, but it's one of the best engines you can possibly get. That 5 liter's been around forever. They've worked on it, enhanced it. It puts down great performance. Instead of the old live rear axle, it's actually got independent. It's got a lot of great technology, but it looks sharp. There's no EcoBoost, there's no turbos. It's just a good old-fashioned naturally aspirated V8 engine producing gobs of torque and horsepower. Mate that up with a 6-speed manual gearbox. What else do you need on a sunny afternoon? Great car, fun, fast, furious, and practical relatively. I mean, you even get back seats in here, not much. You could throw, I don't know, maybe that friend that's the tag along that never wants to buy lunch. But at the end of the day, these are absolutely great cars, and truly one that inspires me. It's simple, it's powerful, it's effective, and it's classic to what it's always been. It's a sporty pony car. They're non-pretentious, they're fun, simple. That's the key. And many of you have asked, what about the diesel engines? Well, ever since Ford got rid of the 7.3, it's never been the same since. The old Navistar International engine was one of the best diesel engines, and it's been downhill ever since. But in fact, another Ford that I would seriously consider buying, and one that you should as well think about. We're talking about an F-150, but it's specifically the engine you'll find under the hood. In an F-150 Lariat, you can get an upgraded engine, as well as in the King Ranch or the Platinum, you get it as a base engine, or you can upgrade it in a variety of different trim levels. It has the 10-speed auto, which isn't necessarily the best, but in fact, the 5-liter V8 Coyote engine, 400 horsepower, creates gobs of torque, tons of performance, and is actually one of their most reliable drivetrains ever known to Ford kind. I mean, Ford's been putting out EcoBoost engines for years with the 2.7, the 3, the 3.5 liter V6s, but they also have a 5 liter V8 engine available as an upgrade for many of their models. And that 5 liter V8 doesn't have EcoBoost, there's no turbochargers, and it's a good old-fashioned naturally aspirated V8 engine. Simple, effective. It has variable camshaft timing. Sure, it does. There are generally some enhancements. And while it's not as reliable maybe as trucks from back in the 70s and 80s, the 5 liter in fact has been around a long time, and most mechanics who work on these cars, including some mechanics that I personally know, would advocate and say that 5 liter V8 Coyote engine is one of those you absolutely need to have. Lots of power, lots of reliability, a simpler truck, less going on under the hood. The packaging isn't so aggressive, there isn't as much technology going on. And sure, while all the electronic tech is still a problem for a lot of the Ford vehicles, I mean, we know that there's all kinds of recalls. It means that Ford's not short on trying to fix some of their issues. You do get some great exhaust tips. You get 4-wheel drive as an option, of course, rear sliders. Fords actually offer up a lot of great technology, but what you don't need is all of the extra turbocharging under the hood that creates more problems for everybody else. Ultimately, if you want to own a Ford pickup truck, keep it simple. And that's what I've said for years. Either go with the 5 liter V8 engine or the 3.3 liter V6 that you find under the XL trim levels. And it's just an amazing truck. It's a beautiful unit. They have the aluminum bodywork, so the rust isn't such a problem like you're finding on the GMs. And in a day and age where you can't even barely find a full-size truck that isn't going to break down, with General Motors and having all of those issues with lifters on the 5.3s or rod bearings on the 6.2s on the L87s. Ram, of course, now they're switching up to the Hurricanes. Who knows where that's going? And their older V8s had all kinds of lifter and hemi-tick issues. This is one of the few with the 5 liter that is still one of the best bulletproof workhorse V8 engines on the market, and I would definitely advocate one of those engines, and certainly one of the very few Fords I would actually buy. Now the next one's a bit of a guilty pleasure. It's not as reliable as some of the other Fords that I would recommend, but because it has such character, it gets a get out of jail free card. And we're talking about the Ford Bronco, but specifically the Raptor, because the base model you get a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, EcoBoost. I'm not a fan of that. You also get the 2.7 in an upscale model, but it's the Raptor that you get the 3.5 liter turbocharged V6. And while that has its share of issues too, it's one of the most reliable. It also has a chain-driven system and is a little bit older school in the way it works mechanically. It's ultimately a more reliable workhorse. It looks great, it's stylish, it's very expensive, but if you're going down that path and you don't necessarily want a Jeep, definitely go with the Ford Bronco Raptor. Has all of the greatest technology, has cool features, it's a wonderful looking vehicle, it rides well, and definitely it stands out like no other. If you want to go off-roading, you don't want a Wrangler, the Bronco Raptor is the one. You get the beautiful wheels, you get all kinds of nice detailing like the tail lights. Definitely flares this out and gives you all kinds of bigger, more aggressive detailing. You get steel running boards with the Raptor, pronounced flares. It gives you all kinds of aggressive engine sounds. It has a ride height that's absolutely barbaric, and it's a beautiful vehicle. Yes, reliability isn't its first forte, but because its overall stance, because its style, because of its character, it actually is holding a better value. So where you might give up on some of the maintenance, you're still getting a better engine, and you're ultimately getting a much better resale value in the first 3 or 4 years. If you decide you don't want to keep it, it's definitely a win, and definitely one I would strongly consider buying if I was looking for something more of an off-roader. With all of that said, maybe you're looking for a smaller truck right there, or maybe a smaller car right there. Some great choices if you want something lower cost and actually reliable. Hope to see each and every one in the next one, everybody. See you real soon. Bye-bye.